I've been doing some after-work coping, and I'd like to talk about how behavior science might lead some people to the conclusion that the individual self does not exist. I have to do this from the floor because my cat absolutely will not stop screaming at me if I'm not actively petting her at all times. First things first, behavior analysis, which is my personal corner of behavior science / behavioral psychology. Behavior analysis holds that the world is an orderly place. And as biological organisms that exist on this organic world, people also operate in an orderly way. That doesn't mean it's not complicated, but it does mean it is following some form of natural law. In the same way we've come to understand there are cause and effect relationships in the physical world, we've come to understand natural laws such as what goes up must come down. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction, etc. So too are there natural laws that govern how biological things operate. You can easily grok this and understand it to be true when you're talking about, the biological processes within the skin. Cell growth and division, how the heart pumps blood, how your glands secrete the things that your glands secrete, and how all of those things work together to turn you into this thing that we call alive. When it comes to the world of the mind, somehow it becomes a little more difficult to grasp. What do you mean my mind is following natural laws? What is the cause of a thought, and what is the effect? What is the cause and effect of a concept or an idea such as the self? Here's the first problem with that line of reasoning. Thoughts, ideas, and concepts are not things like the apple that fell out of Newton's tree. Thoughts, ideas, and concepts are processes. They are the observable result of the physical thing meeting the natural law. They are not the apple, they are the falling. So even if you just examine it from that angle alone, the concept of self, an individual separate self, already it becomes a little bit squishier than our traditional conceptualization of it. This concept is a process, is an act of doing. Therefore, the idea we have of ourselves as ourselves is an act of doing. It's not the apple, it's the falling. Where is falling? Where is the apple? There's the apple. I can see the apple. Where is falling? Where does falling begin? Where does falling end? Can falling exist without the apple? Can falling exist without the tree? Can falling exist without me watching the apple fall and naming it falling? But let's go even further. Even though we might not be able to clearly see the beginning or ending of falling, it is pretty obvious to us when something is falling and when it is not falling. Falling doesn't just happen. Something causes falling. And after that, falling causes something. Stick with the apple metaphor. What caused falling? Let's say a bird landed on the branch, shaking the apple, loose from the tree. Untethered, it can no longer resist the force of gravity, pulling it down to the ground. The ground is there to catch it. A whole host of other things is going on. She bit me because I stopped petting her. A whole host of other things going on involving things like wind resistance and all of the atoms and the electrons of the apple in the ground repelling each other so they are not absorbed into each other. Down and down and down and down and down and down and down. Cause and effect and cause and effect and cause and effect down smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller until we can't look any smaller. It's not just the apple falling that works that way. It's the eye blinking. It's the receptors in the brain responding to all the coping. She kept biting you on the leg because you stopped touching it for 2.5 seconds. Hair on your head, the snot in your nose, the shit in your pants, food in your gut, the feelings in your heart, the thoughts in your mind. Endless chain of cause and effect and cause and effect and cause and effect. Down, 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 down. And then it's even more complicated because some of the effects now become causes for other things, and that creates a whole other chain and web of interactions. Here we are as human beings operating in the world thinking that we are islands unto ourselves, somehow both subject to and exempt from the cause and effect reality of this world. We in fact are not exempt. We have no evidence indicating, okay, some people feel like they have evidence. We're talking about science over here, okay? We have no evidence indicating that the mind is something separate and special and unique from the rest of the world that we exist in. I'm standing in a room with another person and I perceive that there is a me and there is a you. There is an I and there is a them. But there can only be an I when I conceive of a you. The other person is experiencing the exact same thing. 100 people in a room, all experiencing the exact same thing. All experiencing there is only one I, and everything else is you. I am the experiencer. You are the experience. All of those 100 people only able to stand there in that room because gravity is holding them to the earth. And the earth just so happens to have the correct conditions to support organic life. Organic life evolved over millennia to produce all of their parents who fucked and made them, spit them out onto the earth so they could one day collectively be held by gravity in the same room together, in my mind, in this particular metaphor. You, mine, yours, this, that, all conceptions of the mind, all processes constantly arising from and interacting with other processes, all ultimately the result of biology meeting physical environment. Miraculously complex, yet orderly. All things interdependent, no things exempt. We may conceive of ourselves as separate, but we are not.